For years, we've heard all about these use cases within the crypto space that were going to be the killer app, aka the app that creates mass adoption for the space, brings trillions of dollars into the market, and ultimately matures the space in a very positive way to the point where it's on the same scale as global markets. However, over the years, that use case has kind of shifted. Everyone thought it was gaming, then it was, the metaverse and this and that. But it always comes back to one thing, and that is, of course, payments. Why are we trying to cling to a new use case every single time when we already know that one of the most efficient things around the crypto space, specifically the technology around these networks, has always been the movement of value? There is nothing like sending millions of dollars across borders at a fraction of a penny, and it getting received in mere seconds. That is unlike anything heard in the traditional world of payments. That's why when we think about stablecoins, when we think about payments themselves, yes, payments are the killer app. This is crypto's killer app. Stablecoin payments, it's the same exact thing. It's all based around payments. Payments have always been the main bread and butter of crypto, especially when we are thinking about mass adoption of the tech. Now, when we think about that, we also look at what some big banks like Standard Chartered have been telling us, which is, of course, stablecoins, the first killer app, enhancing cross-border FX payments with real-time settlements. The institutional players are bullish on stablecoins. They have been bullish on stablecoins for quite a bit of time now. I would argue since going back to about roughly 2022. I think that's when we really started to see the big shift from, all right, well, let's look at all of these other use cases to all of a sudden, all right, stablecoins. So now when we think about stablecoins, we also have to take a quick look at what's been happening around the traditional system. And almost every big player is now launching a stablecoin. PayPal already has PYUSD, their own stablecoin. I mean, this is from one of the largest payment companies in the world, one of the most adopted payment applications and just payment websites in general. Now, on top of that, Visa, one of the largest payment networks in the world, again, talking about the future of payments with stablecoins. Visa is a leader in working to integrate stablecoins into the next generation of payments with innovative solutions for banks, fintechs, and crypto wallets. That's because of the volume and the value being moved over stablecoins. Stablecoins are constantly evolving, they're constantly growing, and they're constantly becoming bigger than what anyone expected them to become. And this is where we start to see the big picture. Stablecoins are the big killer app, but it's because they are based around payments. And everyone is constantly looking at stablecoins, and they're looking at stablecoins in a negative way. Oh, this is not bullish for XRP. It's not bullish for HBAR. It's not bullish for XLM. It's extremely bullish for the gas token. And I've mentioned this a million times over. I don't care if it's a stablecoin. I don't care if it's a tokenized deposit. I don't care if it's, whatever the value movement device is. It could be a stablecoin. It could be anything. Whatever is moving over those networks, it's creating demand. It's creating value. The underlying gas token is going to witness so much volume. It's going to be demanded in a big way, leading to the eventual rise in value. And we are seeing every big name looking into stablecoins. MasterCard, Visa, PayPal, the big banks. And it's because we also know that in terms of annual transfers, last year, we're talking about 2024, guys, stablecoins processed $46 trillion. Think about how crazy that is. That's nearly triple the volume processed by Visa, which is why it's no surprise that Visa wants to get in on the stablecoin game. But it's every player now. Every player is looking at stablecoins. And it's also because we are starting to see stablecoins growing much faster than anything around crypto. Now, when we think about this, we also look at what recently we got a few posts, actually. It's the first one is from Reese Merrick from Ripple. And then the next one is Brad Garlinghouse. So recently, a lot of Ripple employees have been talking about payments, stablecoins, and exactly what's coming to the crypto space. But it's also very bullish for XRP, and I'll talk about that here in a moment. But here we have back in the 2000s, texting was a cash cow with carriers charging something like 10 to 20 cents per SMS, or sold in bundles of 500 texts per, $10 to $20 every single month. Globally, SMS revenue peaked at over $100 billion per year. Then WhatsApp launched in 2009 as a cheap cross-platform alternative that used your data plan instead of the SMS system. By 2014, it had 500 million users. By 2018, over 1.5 billion. Now in excess of 3 billion people using it on a monthly basis. What's crazy about this is stablecoins currently have about 207 million holders. Not too sure on how accurate this number is, but hey, 207 million is a very solid start. People realized that they could send unlimited messages, photos, videos, voice notes for free, or just the cost of mobile data, which was falling fast. Crypto will do for payments what WhatsApp did to SMS, and Ripple are ready for it. Now, how does this involve XRP? Like, what's the big picture here? Well, XRP is the gas token. Just what I said previously, that demand will lead to the eventual rise in value. Now, we also heard from Brad Garlinghouse recently. Now, big shout out to Real in crypto for this. Real all in crypto for this, sorry. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse on the institutional adoption of stablecoins and what it means for global payments within Web3, the utility, the 24/7 nature of stablecoins, but it's also trust. Check it out.
The institutional adoption here and what you're seeing in terms of real world payments as well on the stablecoin side.
Well, I mean, the stablecoin point you're making particularly, I think you are absolutely right that as people kind of went risk off, they stayed on stablecoins, which is indicative of, as Rich was describing, the utility, the 24/7 nature of a stablecoin, but it's also trust, where maybe years ago they might have said, I want to get into a fiat that I trust even more, but people are recognizing the stablecoins can be stable and easier to manage. But look, this region in particular leaned into regulatory clarity early. Ripple launched a stablecoin just over a year ago. It's just passed about $1 billion market cap. But now it's also been approved in, whitelisted in Abu Dhabi as well as in Dubai and the DIFC. It's good collateral on various platforms from a lending point of view. And I think that the tailwinds just on solving real problems and good collateral that's easy to move and is more flexible and can be moved multiple times a day even, that wasn't possible before. And I think we're going to see a lot of unlocks that, when Ripple thinks about this, and it's an honor to be up here with these two, we want Solana to do great, we want Binance to do great, because I think we're still bringing people into the ecosystem. Stablecoins are one way of doing that. There are going to be lots of other applications, some that Ripple builds, some that are built in the Solana ecosystem, and some that Binance builds.
Lily, what's your message to traditional
So yeah, I mean, listen, when we think about the big picture here, I love the fact that he's talking about trust, because trust is so crucial, especially for institutional players. But we don't get there without, having that big picture painted for us, which is we need the trust, we need the institutional players, and then they bring their customers on chain. That's going to lead to hundreds of millions of customers tapping into stablecoin initiatives. That's why when Brad Garlinghouse is saying, hey, RLUSD is compliant in this region, that region, we just got licenses in this region, that region as well, that's extremely bullish for RLUSD's dominance around the world. But it's also very bullish for the networks in which RLUSD is listed on. And yes, we know most of the supply is on Ethereum. And I'll say it again, and I'll say it so many times going forward as well. When the scale is needed on Ethereum, that's when the breaking point will be reached. And that's where we start to see the shift from Ethereum onto the other networks in the space that are scalable, that can handle that type of demand, and that's settling transactions at a fraction of a penny. That's the big picture. That's where we start to see, the true value of the space become a reality around these networks that, don't see the demand that Ethereum sees right now, but eventually we will, because again, once the scalability becomes crucial, Ethereum's problems start to rise, and you'll see it. It's going to be at the surface level. Now, talking more so about this, right? We have been witnessing even additional names tapping into stablecoin initiatives like Jamie Dimon. I mean, this is JP Morgan's CEO. Jamie Dimon says blockchain is real, and now it's becoming more effective and more efficient after JP Morgan moved 16 trillion in one day. Dimon also revealed on Fox Business that they are working on stablecoins and exploring tokenization.
We moved $16 trillion the other day. In one day, 16 trillion. It goes through our AML systems, our risk systems, sanction systems, fraud systems, OFAC systems. It's cheap, it's fast. So we've always been using technology to do a better job for the client. And we're going to do the same thing in tokenization. So tokenization, blockchain is real. It's been around for quite a while, but now it's becoming more effective, more efficient, because people are finding ways to do it faster and cheaper, permissioned or not permissioned. Smart contracts, I think, will probably be real. We're working on stablecoin and a JP Morgan. We have a JP Morgan deposit already, and think of it as a token, which is a deposit. We can pay interest on it. And as a payment system and a network, we're involved. If we can use things like that to do something better, faster, cheaper for clients, we're going to.
So yeah, JP Morgan's now working on a stablecoin, along with, of course, US Bank, which just chose Stellar for stablecoin initiatives. They're testing their own stablecoin. The banks are lining up. The banks are tapping in. And on top of that, so are all of the big fintechs. Klarna recently started to introduce a new stablecoin as well. Even major enterprises like Sony are launching stablecoin initiatives for gaming and anime as well. I mean, guys, we are watching as almost every single big player lines up. And last but not least, Western Union to launch a crypto card preloaded with USD stablecoins as well. This is one of the biggest announcements that we witnessed around stablecoins, because Western Union is one of the biggest names around payments. They've always been a massive name in terms of payments. And the craziest thing about this, one of the biggest things to focus on, is the amount of users that could quickly be onboarded into crypto and stablecoins just through one name like Western Union. We are just at the beginning phases of stablecoins and payments. I want you guys to realize that, when we think about what's coming to the space, institutional players are going to line up in a much larger way to launch stablecoins, to, tap into blockchain-based payments. And when you hear players like JP Morgan saying, hey, this is real, we're seeing the value here. They might be moving $16 trillion in one day over private blockchain tech, but eventually they will be utilizing public blockchain tech. We know that this is true because walled gardens will not survive, especially with other banks launching stablecoin initiatives and tapping into stablecoins. There's going to be a day where we start to see public blockchains being populated with big banks, massive amounts of money, and a neutral bridge currency will 100% be needed. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.